What if the hardest burden you carry is the one you created just to be loved? Have you ever noticed how exhausting it is to constantly fold yourself into a shape that is easy for someone else to hold? If you have ever felt drained, silently anxious, or entirely invisible because you spend all your energy making sure no one around you is ever inconvenienced, this is for you. Stay until the end, because the final lesson may change the way you see this pain forever. 1. The weight of making yourself easy to love. Here is a truth that hurts before it heals. You have spent so much of your life trying to be the easy one. You try to be the person who never complains, never demands, and never causes a problem. You swallow your words. You smile when you want to cry. You say, "It is fine," when nothing is fine, simply to avoid a shift in the temperature of the room. You have convinced yourself that to be loved, you must be entirely frictionless. But look at the cost. Look at the deep, quiet exhaustion in your eyes. When you constantly hide what you really need, you develop a heavy emotional habit. You begin to monitor everyone else's moods, tiptoeing around their feelings, adjusting your own behavior before they even realize they are upset. You shrink your life so they do not have to stretch theirs. You carry their emotional weather, terrified that if you cause a storm, you will be left standing in the rain alone. You have learned to make yourself small, believing that your smallness is what keeps them safe and what keeps them near. Buddhist wisdom teaches that much of our suffering comes from a deep misunderstanding of control. We believe that by managing the environment around us, by meticulously controlling how others perceive us, we can prevent pain and secure love. We become deeply attached to the idea of a peaceful surface, even if we are drowning underneath. Buddhism reminds us that this attachment to a forced outcome is the very root of our anxiety. You cannot control another person's emotional state, and trying to do so only tightens the chains around your own spirit. Imagine standing in the middle of a rushing river, desperately trying to smooth out the ripples with your bare hands. Every time the water stirs, you panic. You thrash about, trying to force the current to be perfectly still so that the person on the shore can look at a perfect reflection. You exhaust yourself, fighting a flow that was never yours to command. The river will do what the river will do. Your desperate attempts to smooth the water do not create peace. They only create a quiet, internal war. Think about your own life. Think about the relationships where you do all the bending. It happens at work, when you take on extra pressure because you cannot bear the thought of disappointing someone. It happens at home, when you quickly apologize for something you did not do, just to end the heavy, punishing silence. It happens with those closest to you, when you suppress your own joy or sorrow because it does not fit the mood they want to be in. Ask yourself, what are you afraid will happen if you simply stand still and let the water ripple? Are you afraid that if you finally take up space, there will be no room left for love? Stop, breathe. Observe this fear without letting it command you. Let the feeling rise. Notice how heavy it is to carry everyone else's comfort on your back. You do not have to be invisible to be worthy of staying, because true peace is not found by disappearing into the background of your own life. It is not found by smoothing out the water for someone else. But letting go of the need to manage their feelings is only the first step, and this is where the next truth begins. What if the peace you think you are keeping is actually a war you are waging against yourself? 2. The illusion of harmony through self-abandonment. Here is the truth few people want to face. The absence of an argument is not the same as the presence of peace. You have spent years mastering the art of the chameleon. You change your colors to match the room. When tension rises, you immediately absorb it. You agree to plans that drain you. You accept less than you deserve, simply because asking for more might cause a fracture. You call this being adaptable. You call it keeping the peace. But look closer. This is not harmony, it is self-abandonment. When you constantly swallow your own truth to keep someone else comfortable, the conflict does not disappear. It simply moves inward. The anger you refuse to express to them becomes the exhaustion you carry in your own body. You trade your own authentic existence for a fragile, artificial calm. One of the deepest lessons of Buddhism is the practice of seeing things as they truly are, without illusion. When we pretend we do not have needs, we are living in delusion. We become attached to a fake version of reality, a mask we wear to keep others from leaving. Buddhist wisdom teaches that anything built on a foundation of illusion will eventually crumble. True harmony cannot exist where truth is hidden. By denying your own reality, you are clinging to a false peace, and this clinging is the very source of your silent suffering. Imagine a beautiful house built directly over a smoldering hidden fire. On the outside, the paint is pristine, the windows are perfectly clear, the garden is quietly beautiful, but beneath the floorboards, the wood is slowly turning to ash. You spend all your time polishing the front door, painting the walls, and smiling at the neighbors, terrified that if you acknowledge the smoke, the house will collapse. But sweeping the ashes under the rug does not put out the flames. A house built on hidden fire cannot stand forever, no matter how beautiful the outside appears. We see this hidden fire in so many modern lives. It is the deep, unspoken resentment that builds when you always say yes to a demanding family member. It is the quiet bitterness of being the friend who listens to everyone else's problems, but has no one to call when your own darkness comes. It is the slow fading of your own joy, because you are too busy maintaining the perfect image of a happy relationship, even while you feel entirely alone inside it. Ask yourself, think about the peace you are working so hard to maintain. Who is actually benefiting from it? Is this forced harmony bringing you true peace, or is it just feeding your fear of being a burden? What are you afraid will happen if you finally let the floorboards burn and show them the fire? Pause, breathe. Observe the urge to hide yourself the next time tension arises. When you feel the familiar panic of wanting to fix someone else's mood, do nothing. Do not abandon yourself to save them. Stand still. Let the discomfort exist without rushing to cover it up, because true harmony does not require your disappearance. A relationship that requires you to be invisible is not a sanctuary, it is an open cage. But waking up from this illusion takes courage. When you stop playing the role of the silent peacemaker, the people around you will notice. And this is where the next truth begins. Because the moment you stop hiding your needs, you will have to face the one thing you have been avoiding all along. What if the disappointment you are so terrified of causing is the very thing that could finally set you free? 3. Why we fear the disappointment of others. Here is the truth few people want to face. You have been conditioned to treat someone else's disappointment as your own personal failure. When you see a frown, a shift in tone, or a distant gaze, an alarm rings deep inside your chest. If they sigh, you instinctively apologize. If they pull away, you chase them. If they look let down, you scramble to fix it, believing that their sadness, anger, or frustration is a direct verdict on your worth. You view their disappointment as a dangerous weapon, and you will do absolutely anything to keep it from striking you. But look at what this fear demands of you. It demands that you constantly scan the horizon for storms that have not even formed. It demands that you sacrifice your own needs just to keep the sky clear for someone else. Buddhist wisdom teaches us about the profound freedom of non-attachment. Often, we think of non-attachment as giving up physical possessions, but the deepest practice is letting go of our attachment to the emotional states of others. We suffer because we cling to the belief that we are responsible for the entire world's emotional gravity. We forget that every single person is on their own journey, carrying their own weather. By trying to intercept and absorb their disappointment, you are not only weighing down your own spirit, but you are also clinging to an illusion of control. You cannot dictate how another person processes reality. Imagine a tall, ancient tree standing in an open field as a sudden storm rolls in. The wind howls, the rain lashes down, and a heavy branch snaps, falling to the earth. The tree does not apologize for the branch breaking. It does not bend over to catch the wood mid-air just to soften the impact. It simply stands, deeply rooted in the dark earth, allowing the weather to do exactly what it must do. The branch's fall belongs to the storm. The deep roots belong to the tree. Connect this to your own life. Think of the moments when you finally say no to an unreasonable demand and a colleague looks displeased, or when you tell a partner or family member that you need time alone and they meet you with a cold, punishing silence. In that gap, their disappointment hangs heavily in the air. And what do? You rush in to fill it. You over-explain. You backpedal. You negotiate your boundary away. You let guilt consume you because you cannot bear the thought that someone is upset because of you. Ask yourself, why does their temporary discomfort matter more to you than your own enduring peace? Is their disappointment actually destroying you, or is it just your fear of being unloved that is causing the pain? What are you truly afraid will happen if you simply let them be disappointed? Pause, breathe, observe the heavy silence. The next time someone sighs because you chose yourself, do not rush to fix it. Let the sigh hang in the air. Let the feeling rise without making it your identity. You do not have to catch the falling branch, because their disappointment is not a reflection of your inadequacy. It is simply a reaction to a changing wind. But understanding this in your mind is only a partial victory. To truly step out of this cycle, you must look at the deepest mechanism of your suffering. And this is where the next truth begins. Because the hardest part is not causing the disappointment. The hardest part is surrendering your need to manage it. What if the harder you try to control the emotional weather of the room, the more you drown in the storm? 4. The Buddhist truth of letting go of control. Here is the truth. You have convinced yourself that control is a form of love. When you finally muster the courage to speak your mind, set a boundary, or express a need, you immediately try to manage how the other person receives it. You curate your words meticulously. You monitor their facial expressions, terrified of a shift in their eyes. If they look upset, you immediately soften your stance, trying to steer their reaction away from anger or sadness. You believe that if you just explain it perfectly, if you just guide their emotions carefully enough, you can have your truth without the pain of their displeasure. But look at how exhausting this is. You are trying to write the script for two different people. In Buddhist thought, one of the deepest sources of human suffering is our desperate need to control outcomes. We suffer because we attach ourselves to the way we want the world to be, rather than accepting the way it actually is. When you try to control how someone else feels about your choices, you are fighting against the natural order of reality. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that we only have jurisdiction over our own actions, our own intentions, and our own words. The moment those words leave your lips, they no longer belong to you. Clinging to how someone else interprets them is like trying to hold on to the wind. Imagine holding a handful of dry, fine sand. When your palm is open and relaxed, the sand rests peacefully in your hand. It is safe. It is still. But the moment you become afraid of losing it, you close your fist. You squeeze tightly, trying to force the sand to stay exactly where you want it. And what happens? The harder you squeeze, the more the sand slips through the cracks of your fingers. Your very attempt to control it is what empties your hand. Think about your own life. Think about the energy you spend replaying conversations in your head, wondering if you said the wrong thing or offended a friend. Think about the anxiety that builds when you send a difficult message. and you sit staring at the screen, waiting for their reply, trying to mentally force them to understand you. You exhaust yourself trying to control the timing, the tone, and the outcome of their feelings. But their feelings are not your sand to hold. Ask yourself, what are you still trying to control? Are you trying to force someone to understand a boundary they are not ready to accept? Is your mind constantly chasing what hurts you, believing that if you just manage the situation perfectly, you can fix their reaction? Pause, breathe, observe the thought without following it. The next time you speak your truth, do your part, then release the outcome. You are responsible for your honesty, but you are not the manager of their emotions. Open your hand. Let the sand fall where it may. Because true peace is not found by perfectly choreographing the feelings of everyone around you. It is found by resting in the truth of who you are, regardless of how they respond. But understanding that you cannot control them is only part of the journey. To truly find freedom, you must take the hardest step of all. And this is where the next truth begins, because it is time to hand them back something that never belonged to you in the first place. What if the heaviest weight you carry does not even belong to you? 5. Giving people back their own emotional reactions. Here is the truth. You have become a thief of other people's experiences. Without realizing it, you steal their frustration, their sadness, and their anger, and you claim it as your own personal failure. When someone is upset by a choice you made for your own well-being, you immediately take ownership of their pain. You say to yourself, "I made them feel this way. I must fix it." You apologize for their anger. You feel guilty for their silence. You have made it your life's work to intercept their difficult emotions so they do not have to feel them. But look at what this does to you. You are exhausted from carrying luggage that was never packed for you. Buddhism teaches us about the sacredness of personal experience. Everyone is on their own path, and everyone is responsible for tending to their own mind. When you constantly rush in to manage someone else's emotional reaction, you are crossing into a garden that is not yours to tend. True compassion in Buddhist thought is not preventing someone from feeling discomfort. It is holding space for them to experience their own reality without absorbing it into your own body. You cannot do their emotional work for them. Letting go means giving people the dignity to process their own disappointment. Imagine walking through a heavy, relentless rainstorm. You are wearing a thick, waterlogged coat that is freezing against your skin. You are shivering, dragging your feet, barely able to stand under the sheer weight of the wet fabric. But if you look closely, the coat is not yours. Someone else handed it to you because they did not want to carry it in the rain. And because you want to be easy to love, you put it on. You are carrying their storm, but you cannot keep them dry by letting yourself freeze to death. Think about your own life. You wear this heavy coat every day. You wear it when you cancel plans because your body is exhausted. And when a friend acts distant, you absorb their coldness instead of letting it belong to them. You do it when you tell a family member you cannot meet their unrealistic demands, and you spend the next 3 days agonizing over their guilt trip. You take their unmet expectations and bury them in your own chest. You allow their inability to sit with their own discomfort to become your chronic anxiety. Ask yourself, whose emotional weight are you wearing right now? Are you actually helping them, or are you just feeding your own fear of being rejected? What would happen if you simply took off the coat and handed it back? Pause, breathe. The next time someone reacts poorly to your honesty, observe it without catching it. Visualize yourself gently handing their reaction back to them. Say silently to your own heart, "This belongs to them." Let them feel whatever they need to feel. Do not rush to rescue them from their own weather, because true love is not found in carrying a burden that was never yours to hold. It is found in standing securely in your own truth. But once you hand their reaction back, an uncomfortable silence remains. And this is where the next truth begins. Because sitting quietly in the space where you used to panic is the hardest test of all. What if the silence you are so desperate to fill is exactly where your freedom lives? 6. The space between their reaction and your peace. Here is the truth. The moment you hand someone back their disappointment, a terrifying gap opens up. For years, your immediate reflex has been to rush into that gap. When a conversation goes cold, or a boundary is met with resistance, an unbearable tension fills the air. Every instinct in your body screams at you to fix it. You want to send a long, explaining text message. You want to make a joke to lighten the mood. You want to apologize just to hear their tone soften. You have convinced yourself that this silence is a dangerous punishment you must immediately escape. But look at the reality of this gap. It is not a punishment. It is just empty space. Buddhism teaches us about the profound power of the pause. In our ordinary lives, we are completely entangled in an endless cycle of action and reaction. Someone pushes, and we immediately push back or collapse. But Buddhist wisdom reminds us that between what happens to you and how you respond, there is a sacred space. This space is where your freedom resides. You do not have to leap into the void the moment tension arises. You can simply observe it. True mindfulness is the practice of sitting quietly in uncomfortable spaces without letting fear dictate your next move. Imagine a deep, still lake reflecting the bright night moon. When someone throws a heavy stone into the water, the surface violently breaks. The reflection of the moon shatters into 100 moving pieces. If you panic and dive into the water, frantically trying to catch the ripples and hold the water still, you will only create more chaos. You will thrash about, stirring up the dark mud from the bottom until the water is so murky you cannot see anything at all. The only way for the lake to reflect the moon again is to do absolutely nothing. You simply wait on the shore. You let the water settle on its own. Think about your own life. Think about the moment someone responds to your boundary with a single cold word. Think about the heavy, punishing pause on the other end of the phone when you finally say, "I cannot do this today." The stone has been thrown, the water is rippling, and the panic rises in your chest as you stare at the shattered reflection. You want to jump in. You want to over-explain. You desperately want them to reassure you that you are still loved, even though you said no. Ask yourself, what are you truly trying to escape when you rush to fill the silence? Are you trying to heal the relationship, or are you just trying to soothe your own anxiety? Is this frantic need to explain yourself bringing you peace, or feeding your fear? Pause, breathe, let the silence stretch out. The next time you set a boundary and the water begins to ripple, stay on the shore. Observe the uncomfortable silence without diving into it. Stop trying to force the water to be still. Let the tension exist without making it your emergency. Because true peace is not found by frantically smoothing out the disruptions of life. It is found by trusting that the water will settle on its own without your interference. But standing still on the shore will bring up feelings you have ignored for a very long time. And this is where the next truth begins, because beneath the anxiety of their reaction lies a profound, quiet sorrow that must finally be felt. What if the sadness you feel after standing up for yourself is not a sign that you made a mistake, but proof that you are finally waking up? 7. The quiet grief of setting a boundary. Here is the truth. When you finally stop bending to fit someone else's shape, it does not immediately feel like a victory. It often feels like a deep, aching loss. You expect to feel empowered and light, but instead, an overwhelming sadness washes over you. When you draw a line, speak your truth, and let someone else be disappointed, a quiet mourning begins. You grieve the easy, frictionless relationship you thought you had. You grieve the painful realization that their affection may have been deeply conditional on your silence. You sit in the aftermath of your own courage, wondering if it was worth the ache in your chest. But look at this sadness closely. It is not a sign of failure. It is the sound of an old chain breaking. Buddhist wisdom teaches us about the profound reality of impermanence and the pain of releasing our attachments. We often attach ourselves to what is familiar, even when that familiar space is slowly suffocating us. When we release a false sense of harmony, there is a natural grief that follows the shedding of an old identity. This sorrow is not something to be feared, fixed, or pushed away. In Buddhism, suffering is met with deep, mindful compassion. The grief of setting a boundary is simply the heavy, necessary clearing of the path. It is the pain of letting go of an illusion. Imagine a tightly closed bud of a lotus flower resting deep in the dark, heavy mud beneath the water. For a very long time, the bud is safe. It is unbroken. It is completely shielded from the current. But to finally blossom, the petals must slowly tear away from the tight center. The flower must break open, exposing its soft inside to the rushing water and the unknown air above. The breaking open feels dangerous. The tearing away from what was safe and tightly bound feels like destruction. But it is not destruction. It is the only way to reach the light. Think about your own life. Think about the heavy heart you carry after you finally tell someone they can no longer treat you a certain way. You sit in your room alone, feeling the sharp sting of their cold withdrawal or their defensive anger. You mourn the fact that asserting your own basic worth created a fracture in the relationship. The silence in the room feels heavy, and in that heavy quiet, you wonder if it would just be easier to go back into the mud. You wonder if you should fold yourself up again and apologize for asking for respect. Ask yourself, are you actually grieving the loss of a true loving connection? Or are you simply grieving the illusion of a connection that only existed when you were entirely invisible? What if this sorrow is not a punishment, but a profound, necessary release? Pause. Breathe. When the sadness comes, let it stay. Do not rush to apologize just to make the grief disappear. Place a hand over your own chest and silently acknowledge the pain of outgrowing your old habits. Let the tear fall without judging it. Let the feeling rise without retreating back into the dark, because true peace requires you to feel the loss of what was false. This quiet grief is simply the feeling of the heavy mud washing away. But as the sorrow slowly settles, something entirely new begins to grow in the empty space left behind. And this is where the next truth begins. Because the massive amount of energy you used to spend managing their feelings is finally coming back to you. What if the silence you have always feared is the exact place where your true voice can finally be heard? 8. Rediscovering the voice you silenced. Here is the truth. You have spent so many years studying the needs, moods, and desires of everyone around you that you have become a stranger to yourself. You are so used to being the mirror that reflects what others want to see, that you have forgotten what you actually look like. When you finally stop trying to intercept someone else's disappointment, a sudden stillness enters your life. But at first, this stillness feels terrifying. It feels empty because you realize you do not know who you are when you are not actively pleasing someone else. Your own voice has been buried under a mountain of unsaid words. But look at this emptiness differently. It is not a void. It is a cleared space waiting for your return. Buddhist wisdom teaches that beneath the chaotic noise of our attachments and worldly fears lies our true, original nature. We lose touch with this inner truth, not because it disappears, but because we cover it up with the heavy debris of seeking approval. We exhaust ourselves trying to be what the world demands, moving further and further from our own center. Mindfulness is not just the practice of observing the world, it is the vital practice of listening to your own internal stillness. When you stop pouring all your life force into maintaining the illusion of a perfect, frictionless relationship, the energy you were giving away finally flows back to you. You finally have the energy to tend to your own spirit. Imagine a single candle in a quiet, dark room. For years, you have been desperately running around in a storm, trying to block the wind from blowing out everyone else's candles. You shielded their flames with your bare hands, burning your own skin just to keep their light steady. In the process, your own candle was blown out, and you sat in the dark, believing this sacrifice was your ultimate purpose. But now, you have stopped running. You have stepped back. The storm is outside, and the room is quiet. For the first time in a very long time, you strike a match and light your own wick. The flame is small, and it flickers at first, but it is yours. Think about your own life. Think of the moments when someone simply asks you, "What do you want to do today?" Or "What do you actually need right now?" And your mind goes completely blank. You panic. You immediately try to guess what answer will make them the happiest. You have lived in the passenger seat of your own life for so long that sitting behind the wheel feels foreign and heavy. You do not even know what brings you genuine joy anymore, because your joy was always defined by someone else's satisfaction. Ask yourself, if there were absolutely no expectations, no fear of disappointing anyone, and no desperate need to be easy to love, what would your voice say? What is the one quiet truth you have been swallowing every single day, just to keep the peace? Pause, breathe. The next time you are asked what you want, do not instinctively defer to someone else. Wait. Let the silence stretch for a few seconds. Listen to the very first quiet thought that rises in your mind. Before the fear of being a burden tries to crush it, let that thought exist, because peace is not found by staying in the dark, just so others do not have to look at your light. It is found by standing fully in the truth of your own existence. But stepping into this truth will permanently change how you relate to the people around you. And this is where the final truth begins. Because you are about to realize that what you thought was love was only convenience. What if the very act of hiding your needs is preventing you from experiencing the exact love you are so desperate to find? 9. True love requires your authentic presence. Here is the truth. We began this journey by looking at the deep, quiet exhaustion of being the easy one. You have spent so much of your life folding yourself up into a shape that someone else could comfortably hold. You swallowed your needs, you managed the emotional weather of every room you entered, and you caught the falling branches before they could hit the ground. You believed that if you were entirely frictionless, you would finally be safe. You believed that by shielding others from their own disappointment, you were earning your right to be loved. But look at the reality of this bargain. You sacrificed your own existence to maintain an illusion. In Buddhist thought, true mindfulness is the practice of deep, unapologetic presence. It is the courage to show up fully in this exact moment, exactly as you are, without adding or subtracting anything. When you hide your true needs to maintain a false sense of harmony, you are not actually present in your own relationships. You are offering the world a ghost. You are offering them an edited, heavily curated version of yourself. And here is the tragedy of that choice. A ghost cannot be held. A ghost cannot be deeply understood. By trying to be entirely frictionless, you have accidentally made yourself untouchable. True connection requires two authentic, solid beings. Imagine a beautiful, heavy anchor meant to hold a ship steady in a rising sea. If the anchor is made of thin, delicate glass, terrified of causing a splash when it hits the surface, it will shatter the moment the water becomes rough. It cannot do what it was meant to do. You have spent your life trying to be that glass, smooth, transparent, and completely unbothered. But to truly hold a connection, to truly love and be loved, you must have weight. You must be solid. You must be willing to make a splash when you hit the water. Think about your own life moving forward. As you stop carrying everyone else's emotional baggage, as you finally let their disappointment belong entirely to them, something profound will happen. The people who only loved you for your convenience will become very uncomfortable. When you stop bending, they may complain. They may drift away. Let them. Do not chase what is already leaving, because the people who are truly meant to be in your life will stay. They will not be threatened by your boundaries. They will be quietly relieved to finally meet the real you. Remember the dry sand slipping through your clenched fingers. Remember the heavy, waterlogged coat that was never yours to wear. It is time to drop them. The moment you accept that someone else's disappointment is not a verdict on your worth, the chronic anxiety that has ruled your life will begin to dissolve. You no longer have to manage the emotional temperature of the room. You do not need to be the silent shock absorber for the world. You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to have needs, to speak your truth, and to let the water ripple. Peace was never found by abandoning yourself to keep others comfortable. It is found by returning to your own center, trusting the stillness, and letting the world adjust to your solid presence. If these lessons touched your heart, share this video with someone who may need a little more peace today. You can let go now.